Good afternoon, Mr. Kylie here with Martial Arts America, Team Navarre. Today's going to be your Krav Maga workout of the day. We put a lot of, well, today's date is April 29th. It is a Wednesday. Put a lot of time and effort recently on getting a lot of the band work and a lot of the workout stuff in, and I love that stuff, and we'll go back to it soon, and we'll kind of start to intermingle that. We want to make sure we get a strong base physically and cardiovascularly, so that when we're working, we have a better product to work with. At the same time, we want to make sure that we're also technically sound and strong with the striking aspect of what we're doing. We not have bags at home, so I'm going to do most of this stuff to the air, but it's still important to kind of build that technique so when we come back and strike pads and hit targets, and we're working with with mitts, we're working on big heavy bags, that our technique is still very solid. What this gives us the opportunity to do is a lot of times when we're focused on either doing it in a class environment or doing it to a pad, a lot of times that can kind of distract our focus because we're naturally competitive humans, just what it is. If you guys are in Krav, I'm willing to bet you're a naturally competitive person. And so a lot of times you want to be stronger or faster or more explosive or hit harder or be louder than the person next to you. And that's not a bad thing at all. That kind of brings the best out in all of us. But sometimes that can kind of distract the goal, right? And sometimes in effort to hit harder, we hit a little bit sloppier, right? Or sometimes just because we're hitting pads, we tend to overemphasize the speed at which our arm is moving instead of getting used to moving our body in unison, letting everything work together. A lot of times just over time, those things, even though we try to create those positive habits, we can build slightly negative habits just by having too much emphasis on the competitive aspect and not so much on that internal competition of trying to keep your body framed, to try to keep everything very still, let your body work together, and just trust that, trust the technique and trust the science behind it, that even if I'm not moving my arm at max speed, good, if my body's moving together, good, that's still a stronger strike than if I just swung my arm as hard as I could. Because then that sets me up for the next strike, and you're not just thinking about the one strike you're doing, you're thinking about what, if we're doing combination work, keeping constant in your mind that one strike is leading to the next strike. So I need to make sure that I'm striking with the max amount of power I can to keep the same amount of aim, but then I'm also leaving myself with enough balance and enough coordination to then move quickly to the next strike. I'm always thinking about the strike I'm doing and the strike that I'm preparing to do at the same time, and I'm kind of folding that through my brain as you're working on those combos. So that, again, you're at the end, you're not disheveled, you're not all wide open, everything is staying tight. You're also thinking about the defensive aspect as you're doing all the striking point, because that's the other side of the coin. Is a lot of times we spend so much the mental time on the striking part that we forget we're so intent on hitting hard and hitting fast, which again I love, but that sometimes our guard ends up becoming very sloppy because we're only focused on that pop sound, that impact. So making sure that now, since all you have is yourself, if that's all you have, which is more than enough, okay, then you can just use that and work on feeling and seeing all of the visual reminders and the visual cues of keeping a tight guard, still striking hard, but still leaving a little bit in your reserve so you can then do the next strike also very strong. So we're going to walk through all the combinations. The level 2 combos, if you're only a level 1 person, still do level 2 combos with us. If you don't know them yet, you'll learn them today. We'll have a little bit of fun with it. Then we'll also go over the 21 punch combo, which is just a lot of fun as well. Okay, and you're going to kind of break those down. We worked on, I want to say 1 through 12 last time, and so we're going to kind of start 1 through 13. So we're going to kind of scoot through those and then finish off up through, I think, 17 today, and then work the 21 punch. We'll see how much of that we can get done in about 20, 25 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. We're going to stretch out real fast as well, so I'm going to be done talking because I'm long-winded. All right, so kira, kunyi, hus. Let's warm up. March down. Stretch out your hamstring. Reach back up, pull your elbows down, kind of scrape them behind you, reach back down one more time, just let your body hang. And then I actually have this here to kind of show you all my favorite stretch for your quad, okay, which is, it's kind of hard to do the quad stretch when we're on a knee like this, right? That one's kind of hard sometimes. And it's kind of a tricky setup, but this works really well if you have a couch or something that you can kind of, a flat wall. I like to put a cushion on it because it'll kind of hurt your knee a little bit. But what you do is you actually kind of go on all fours, you scoot back to it, you put your knee as close as you need to on the wall. You might need to start with some distance away from it, and then from there, you want to kind of walk your body backwards and bring up your opposite leg. And then the goal from here is to sit up. And by doing that, this will start to get very warm. Okay, another thing you can do in this position is just whatever leg is bent behind you, tighten up that butt cheek, and you'll instantly start to feel all that muscle tighten up. And the more you lean back towards it, of course, the more you're going to feel it. So you may be kind of in this position and slowly working yourself up. That's perfectly fine. And then to switch, you just put hands down, leg, leg, other one comes up. Good. And then one for your upper body that I like a lot for the center of your back and your shoulders. You're going to go to a bad push-up position. Hands are about shoulder width apart. Feet are wider than that. So feet are wider than your shoulders. You're kind of in a piked position. From here, you're just going to put your head through the window. So I'm going to reach back here, kind of pike your body, and then come back flat. One more. Just trying to stretch everything out. And of course, you also have to thread the needles. From here, pull it across. All right. We're successfully warmed up. Okay, so we're going to put gloves on. And we're going to work a little bit. And I'll show you kind of from multiple different points of view when we're working these combinations. Strategically put that over there. So working combination number 1, and this is all the bits we worked on last time. Again, I'm going to work it from this angle so you can kind of see the footwork here. I'm going to work from this angle so you can kind of see the rotation work here. We're working from combination number 1, which of course is just jab. Good. Biggest thing if you are working on a pad is to pay attention to your distance, right? Make sure you're close enough to be able to get some, so you're not having to overextend. Make sure you're far enough away to get full extension. So you have to kind of find that zone, find that right zone to notice that you're not a lot of times we tend to be too far away from the pad because we're trying to get full extension. But then by doing that, we tend to be over our toes, and you'll feel your feet gripping into the floor. You'll feel like you're falling over. At no point in time should the pad be holding you up. That means if I jab, good, if I let go of this jab, if this pad magically disappeared, I wouldn't fall forward, right? I should be able to strike. I'm within my own self. Good? Same thing with a punch. Good. I'm striking hard. I'm leaning into what I'm doing, but there's no difference between this strike and this strike. I'm not depending on the bag to keep my balance. Much like when you have mitts or you're hitting a person, you're not depending on them to keep your balance, right? So combination number 1 is just jab. Keep your elbow tight. Make sure when you jab, it's not this. Elbow tight. Okay, number 2, jab cross, same thing, elbows tight. So it's 1, 2. The reason you pivot your foot and turn your hips, that prevents you from flaring that elbow. Good. Try to make sure, it's also a very good idea just to be here and just practice your cross one time. Make sure that this doesn't go out. As goofy as it sounds, use a wall or use your heavy pad and come to the heavy pad if you have something, and practice throwing your punches with something right beside you. Because what that'll do is you'll find out really fast if you're flaring your elbow. Good. And it's just important because if you're flaring it, good, if you are doing that and you don't know it, your partner does know it. Okay, so if you're sparring somebody and you have a hard time making your jabs, your crosses connect, if you always feel like you're a slight step behind, you're probably giving away what you're doing before you do it without even knowing it. Okay, which means you're probably going 1, 2 or 1, 2. You're giving it away. Good. Instead, it's just straight lines. Elbow stays tight until it hits the target. All right. So again, number 2 is jab, cross. Number 3 is cross, hook, cross. So it's cross, hands tight, hook, very good, that rounded motion, cross. Make sure your hands are staying up. A very, very common mistake when we start to go more than 2 punches. Most people are really good at keeping their hands up for 2 punches. But once we start, for whatever reason, 3 or more, and we see a lot of swinging torsos, we see a lot of drooping hands. Specifically, anytime we're going to have a punch that's then followed by a hook, okay, because then they tend to want to, my brain just stopped thinking of the word. They tend to choreograph that move. They telegraph the move. Right. Good. If I go 1, 2, 3. So when I add that jab, I go 1. Now when I go to cross, I see a lot of this. If you don't see that, I'll show you from a different angle, show you from the back. So we're going to do number 4 together. Ready? It's jab, cross, hook, cross. jab, cross, hook, cross. Everything is up and tight. Make sure when you get to from 1 to 2 to 3, you don't see this, right? It's not that. Good. It's 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then from there we go on to number 5, which is the uppercut, hook, cross, uppercut. So from here with me, uppercut, good, hook, cross, drip, uppercut. Try to let your body dip before it throws the uppercut. Good. So from here, it's uppercut, backhand, good, hook, cross, uppercut. Get your body involved. Very good. Okay, uppercut. Other hand, number 6 is the opposite way. So I show you from this way. The front hand, uppercut, boom. Very good. Cross now. Hook, drop, uppercut. Lift with your body. That whole phrase, don't lift with your back, lift with your legs. So make sure you're lifting with your legs. Lift through the punch with your legs. That's what the rotation is for. Okay, that's what that drop is for. Okay, now we're going to work into your ducks. Good, your bobs. So from here, and you're going to the left each time first. So I bob to the left first, I slip to the left first, I duck and cover to the left first in these sets of 2, right? Back up a little bit. So you bob the first one, I step over, step off center line, step over, come underneath. That's your wind up moment. So I can then hook, cross, hook. Good. Other one, I can then pop this way. And then from here I come back up. My body already kind of rotating up. And then I cross, hook, cross. One more time on that one. Duck, cross, hook, cross. And then next one we have that slip, and we have you can slip and do the jab cross. I like to be a little more functional and slip into a hook and a cross. It also kind of runs 1-to-1 with what the bobs are. And so instead it would be that slip where you're just kind of getting off center line, leaning onto that front leg, lean, and then I come offline, boom, hook, cross. And then I can also do the same thing with stationary feet and just go here, and then from there come up, 1, 2. Same thing for the backhand. I can duck against backhand, and then I can then cross with my backhand first, and then there's my hook. So it's either hook cross or cross hook instead of jab cross and cross jab. Same combination. From there, you're going to work on blocking multiple attacks. So I defend against the body. Make sure you keep it tight to your body. Good, keep it tight. Sorry if I'm popping the mic too much. Pop it tight to your body. Come underneath, and then through your own, boom, body to the head. There's the cross, backhand tight, and then there's your hook again. And then other side, you want to tighten it down, making sure, very, very important, there are 2 points of contact, one on your chin, one on your body, okay? From here, tighten down, block, come underneath, body hook, uppercut down the middle, hook, cross. And a nice little easy way to practice, especially when we don't have mirrors. Like I can see the mirror, but if you don't have a mirror to look in to make sure you're doing things correctly, just from a first-person standpoint, like from a visual standpoint, when you're doing all these movements, you should see your own gloves just about the entire time, right? There's virtually no time. If your hands are up and if you're covered, out of the peripheral vision, you should see that opposite glove. If I'm striking with one hand, if I can't, good, that's a big symbol that what? Something's wide open, right? And so making sure that, especially if your body's up and tight and you're covered, you should be able to see both gloves if you're in a covered position. If you can't, that's just a reminder that something's not covered, something's up, something's exposed. Because it's a very good time to see and kind of feel within yourself as you're working those combos. Like if you're doing the jab cross hook, if you go one, you'll know like I can't. That's a lot of times when we're doing the combos why we go slow through them, when we pause with each punch, not only to make sure that the technique is sound, that it's traveling the proper way, that your body's working together, but also to make sure that from that picturesque standpoint, that you can kind of hit all the key points. All 4 limbs are doing something. Anytime you throw any technique, no matter if it's hands or feet or a block, no matter what the technique is, all 4 of your limbs have a purpose. And they have a specific place where they need to be functional on a defensive side and on an offensive side. So just kind of make sure that you kind of want to keep a running tally as you're almost like a checklist as you're going through. Okay, if you throw a jab, good. My front foot's pointing, my back foot's pushing, my back hand is up, my front hand is out. Boom, you're just kind of just checking all that out. You always want to start with the action movement. Good. So if I'm doing a strike, is that correct? That's good. Where's my backhand? Where's my foot? There's my foot. When I punch, same idea. Good. When you punch, is your punch correct? Are your knuckles straight? Is your foot pivoting? Is your foot pointing? Is your backhand? Is your now front hand up? When I throw a hook, good, same kind of concept. Did it stay up? Is my shoulder up? Is my other hand up? Is my foot turned? Is this leg bent? Good, so you're just kind of running that mental checklist, and it's tough at first. It's kind of mentally, it can be overwhelming at first, but the more you do it, the more it will just become second nature to you, which is the end goal. All right, so kind of advancing with our combinations. We worked on the multiple combination there. So now we're going to work on the ones involving the leg blocks. A couple different ways to block with leg blocks. You can full on Muay Thai chamber the foot. If you do work on chambering the knee up to block that middle round kick, okay, make sure, very, very important, you pull your toes up too. Good. So I don't want to flatten my foot. Just because if they intentionally kick low, or if I pick my leg up too high and end up blocking the kick with the top of my foot or the top of the arch, then that can really hyperextend a lot of the tendons in the top of your foot. Very important not to do that. So again, it's not here, it's here. I roll my toes upwards and I flex my foot towards me. And as I block and take that impact, I want to practice pushing my hip into that movement. So I'm pushing in. Good. Or I can also just bump that same strike. And so if I'm doing it from this side, I can also just from here, I can bump. I just lean in to what's going on. If they're striking here, I just kind of lean and I flex my leg into it. Good. What you're trying to prevent is them hitting the side of your leg. A, you never get hit in the side of the knee. That's always a bad thing. And then B, there's just a lot more nerve. There's a lot more going on from a pain standpoint to the outside of your leg. If you've ever been frogged in the leg, it's always on the side. It's never in the front. Okay, so by turning to the front, I'm not saying if I turn my leg, it's going to prevent all pain. It's still not going to feel good. You're still getting hit, but it hurts a lot less. And it's a lot more functional from a defensive standpoint because I can lean, and again, your knee bends this way, so it can take that impact. If you bend like this, the impact will still go sideways. Your knee does not like to do that. So I'm trying to prevent injury here and also stagger them backwards, kind of shorten their strike. So I would then, if we're putting this in combo, I would, with my front side, I would check, good. So I would check, bump from here. And as I bump, I would throw my own cross, very good. And then I would throw a hook. That torque winds up your own back leg round kick, okay? 2 ways to round kick we practice. The big kickboxing round kick where it has that rotation to it, and you swing your body all the way around. You can also, for right now, if you're not hitting a target, you would rather just keep more balance. You can also just throw the more taekwondo-esque version of the round kick where it just flicks and then re-chambers, okay? And so from here, it again is push, and as I push, I will then cross, hook, round kick. Make sure no matter which one you throw, you still get that full pop and pivot, right? And the other one, of course, same thing with the back leg here, and you want to bump, and as I bump, I will then hook first. So you're using opposites. Whichever leg you bump with, you strike quickly with the opposite arm. So I then bump, cross. This kind of cross and this lean onto this front foot will allow for proper weight distribution to switch, to that switch round kick. So I lean. Good. Now I can quickly switch round. All right. So it's bump. So I bump that way. Lean your body. Bump. Turn your foot. Bump. Hook. Cross. Notice all I did was from here I went step back, step forward, throw your own round. Okay. Next one is going to be a little trickier. This is the elbow combos. Right? These are fun. So from here, if you're in nice and tight, this is and you start with your backhand first. It's the backhand elbow. Good. You're trying to get this downwards diagonal line. I'm trying to get this way. Okay. I'm not trying to come flat across. A lot of times if you come flat across, again, in the heat of the moment, anytime in a time of crisis, your body will naturally do a little bit less than what you practice. Okay, not from a power standpoint, but from a speed standpoint, because you're in a hurry. So the technique won't quite be as crisp. Your macro motor skills won't quite be there as much as you normally practice. So we overemphasize the movement to make sure even if we do less, it still is applicable. So in this case, instead of I'm coming this way, I'm really focusing on this arch, okay, and this diagonal line, so that even if I happen to do less and still come here, then it's still good. Your kind of visual cue is that your elbow is above your wrist. Okay, so if I'm doing it sans glove, I want to make sure when I do this, my elbow is above my wrist. That shows me I have the proper angle, and that hides your funny bone, right? The other main purpose of not going like this, if I end up hitting with the underside of my elbow, that's where your funny bone and all the nerves, your humerus, all the fun stuff there is. That doesn't feel good. So I'm trying to hit with the blade of the elbow because it's just a very sharp, blunt bone. Sharp and blunt are opposites. It's just a very sharp, flat bone. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I think I am. We're just going to keep moving, all right? So it's here. Good. I know how to hit hard. I'm not a very sciencey person. So I'm going to strike, good, and then pivot and strike. And now as I strike again, I'm stepping into what I'm doing. Good. Strike, step, strike, hit the mic. Very good pivot. Strike again. There. So a little bit faster. It's 1, 2. Now I step into what I'm doing. and then elbow, whatever, that's a knee. Whatever side you start on, that's the same knee you're going to throw. Good. Now the other side still starts left side forward, but I throw a front hand hook, back hand up. Good. And then from there I throw my elbow. But now this time I'm spinning the opposite direction. So I come back with my left elbow. There's my pivot. I go ahead and over pivot my foot so I can then open up my hips and come back around with a back elbow this time. I land my right leg in the front and it stays in the front. I throw that left elbow so I can set up my left knee. So just make sure that you guys don't overstep. A very common mistake when doing this I see is that after they step, they end up stepping a second time after they've followed through, and that throws off the knee, that throws off their balance. So the mistake looks like this. Here, I'll see a lot of this. Ready? Watch my foot, and they'll go here. And they're like, whoa, where'd I go? The key is to not step that second time. So it's 1, 2, 3, there, and your feet stay. You pivot, you don't step though. Knee, okay? Last combination is going to be just kicks, okay? It's a front leg front into a back leg round into a back leg spin. Now the hard part is we're hitting the air. When you have a pad or a person to actually push off of with the round kick, this makes a lot more sense. It's a lot more applicable, words. But to the air, it's kind of hard. That's why I definitely suggest you guys throw the Taekwondo-esque round kick because you can control it better. The full combo is front kick, round kick, put it down, spin kick. But again, it's kind of hard without someone there to really get that momentum going backwards where you came from. When I have a pad or something to hit, I can front kick and I can actually push off, right? I can rewind myself, which when you're doing an actual round kick, a kickboxing round kick, you would do that. You would strike hard into them and then also push away with them in the same strike. I would strike and push myself back. That motion would get this to happen and allow for that spin kick. Okay, so if you don't have anything to hit, instead just slow the movement down and control it better and just do a front kick, open up your hip, throw a round kick, put it back where you got it, rotate your body, throw your spin kick from behind yourself. And then the purpose of that combo is to practice, kicking combinations, how to keep your balance between each kick. It's also just very good practice because it throws each of the major kicks, the 3 major kicks, I'm holding up 3, are the front kicks, the side kicks, and the round kicks. Every other kick you'll learn is some variation of one of those 3. And so it's just a good way to practice all 3 of those in succession and kind of be very economical with your time and your practicing. So it's the 1 into the 2 into the 3. Hitting, of course, on the front kick with the ball of the foot. On the round kick, either hitting the Taekwondo version with the in between the foot and ankle portion, you're still not using toes, good. Or if you're doing the Muay Thai version, hitting more of the no foot and just the shin here. And then on the spin kick, hitting with your blade and your heel. Okay, those are the main goals there. Last one we're going to do, 21 punch combo. It's not that bad. It's just 7 groups of 3. You've done more than 21 punches in the combos we've done today. So really, as long as you know it's just 7 combos of 3, should be a little bit easier, right? So breaking it down, making it easier to remember. We're here. Everything's nice and tight. It starts off, and honestly, anytime you're learning a pattern or learning a form or learning these combinations, especially because we learn them in sets of 2, if you can understand the theme and the rhythm behind them and kind of and understand, especially a lot of times in bigger combos, like especially this 21 hit combo, symmetry is very common in combinations. Okay, symmetry being if I do something with my left hand, I'm probably going to do or if I do something on my left side, I'm going to do a similar variation on my right side or something to that extent, because the whole purpose of learning combinations is to learn the concepts behind striking, and it's very important when you're learning those to stay balanced. And so most times when you see one combination, you'll quickly find its brother, you'll find the opposite very soon to come, because that a lot of times can help kind of organize things better in your mind. Instead of remembering 7 completely unique combinations, we're basically doing 3 combos on left side and right side, or kind of 2 different variations, and at the very end it's just one random combo more or less. So without further ado, let's work together. So it starts with 1, 2, 3. The first 2 combos are front hand, backhand. Okay, it's double jab, 1, 2, 3, front, back, and the next 2 are body hook, head hook, cross. 1, 2, 3, front, back, front, back. So then putting those together, jab, cross, body, head, cross, and then from here you're going from the right and then to the left. Good. You kind of think inside the mind of the attacker. If I'm striking here, my only open area is here, the right side of my head. So I assume that hand is going to swing, so I do my bob that way first. We've already covered these. If I bob to the right, I come up swinging with my right hand, then my left hand, then my right hand. I just went from the right, so now I'm going to go back to the left. Come back underneath. Good. 1, 2, 3. Now I go into my uppercut. I kind of think back in my Rolodex of combos to my uppercut combos. I'm already kind of going this way, so my body's wound up to throw my backhand, uppercut, hook, cross. So I might as well now throw the opposite. Front hand uppercut, cross, hook. And then the last one is just more of a very intense forward moving aggressive combination. It is a backhand cross to back them up. And then I step into what I'm doing, backhand cross to back them up, and then finish with an elbow. Okay, so last time together, again, it's double jab. Good. If you want to keep symmetry what it is, you can also adjust. You can, for right now, make the target the same. So instead of going head, head, I can also go body, head here, body, head here, to the right, duck, cross, hook, cross, to the left, hook, cross, hook, uppercut, hook, cross, uppercut, cross, hook, cross, shuffle in, cross, shuffle in, finish with the elbow. Okay, so I'm going to break that apart, move that around. Have fun with it. Good. Especially when you're working. We tried to work all 21 normally in class are a very good way to build these combinations or any long combination. Instead of going and doing 1 to 21 very slowly and trying to then pick up the speed, do 3 and get to those 3 are maxed out and very strong. And then add the next 3 or even add that move by move. So you go 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. It may take more time, but right now all we have is time, right? And so it's okay if it takes more time if at the end result is a lot stronger and a lot better. We're not in a race because you're not racing anybody. We're not competing against anybody. It's good to have a competitive mindset that we talked about in the beginning of the class, but at the same time, as long as that's functional for you and that brings out the best in you, not puts you in a hurry and makes you feel like you're trying to race somebody else. You're only competing really against yourself. Good, especially right now. Good, so you guys are having a wonderful time competing against yourself and those around you, but using again, you keeping that the purpose of that competition in the front of your mind, reminding yourself that the competition should bring out the best in you. It should make you want to be more focused and more intense, not try to win, right? At the same time, you win by becoming better at the end of class. As long as at the end of class you can say that you're better than you were when class started, that is the win. That is the main focus. That is the main goal. Regardless if somebody finished ahead of you, regardless if somebody hit harder than you, if you are a better product at the end of class than you were at the beginning of it, that was a very successful day. And I think I am now, but hopefully you guys are as well. We're going to have more of the same with also some different kind of challenges. Next week I'm going to work on integrating the bands and some kind of weight work with the strike work. So I want to get to where we're doing both during each class. All right. Hope you guys had a wonderful day and have a wonderful weekend. Kira, kunyi, us. You guys are dismissed.